Hey everyone, welcome to the Subspace App Sync. This is 2022, September 20th. Let's get started. This week we got 9 tickets done. This is actually a mixed bag of progress and issues, but it's fine. Let's get started with the first one. We've now updated the map. Serge, if you want to talk about it or give a demo, that would be great.
Yeah, it's already deployed. Yeah, first of all, there is a screenshot in the PR, but if you want to check it live on the Subspace telemetry, it's already there. So yeah, instead of individual nodes, we're now displaying locations, and locations have different size depending on the amount of nodes. And yeah, that's basically it. We still need to do some adjustments because when I was implementing this, we didn't have the amount of nodes we have right now. So currently, some dots are quite big. So we need to adjust the scale to some logarithmic scale, so they're more like they look nicer. But overall, yeah, this is the feature.
Awesome, nice job, Serge. Make space pledge visible. It's also you as well. I think we have it right here.
Yeah, same. We added this tile in the header, and we're displaying space pledged. Yeah, in order to do that, we fetch solution range from the node RPC, and we apply some calculations, so we get this value in terabytes, gigabytes, and formatted.
Nice. Next up, add graceful degradation. Serge is going to be going on for a while. Add graceful degradation screen for list view. We mentioned this earlier, but as long as we're going entire node count, we're going to need to show a message, but go for it, Serge.
Yeah, so in the worst case scenario, if the app doesn't render the amount of nodes, if it's too big, so we have this UI that will only display like a summary, stats, and we also added a note that because most of our users are using telemetry to verify that their node is up and running. So obviously that won't be possible if we hide node list. So so people are not confused, we suggest them to go to Polkadot apps, and we provide a link so they can check their balance if they get any rewards, and yeah, can verify that way.
Cool. And I think also Ivan's not here, but I think the last updates from Ivan is that he's going to be deploying a change to kind of remove the data that's being sent out and also re-enable the screen. So this should be the default going forward as we go through incentivized testnet or Gen I2A. Cool, awesome.
Just
Yes.
to understand that, so we're going to disable the map view and the list view by default once he deploys that?
Yeah, we're going to just have the summary on top, and then we're going to issue this message.
Okay, so it'll just look like it is here in the screenshot when it loads?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is going to be our workaround right now, just so we can keep the telemetry server live as we issue more fixes to kind of bring back the list view again. But I think we kind of wanted to educate the community, generally speaking, just like in office hours, that it's probably best for them to just either check their logs or visit the Polkadot Substrate portal to kind of just see the rewards coming in for the balance. They don't need to really go to telemetry to look at their node to see if they're connected. Okay. This is the same thing. So we're making additional changes to this. Serge, you can talk about this too, but essentially Ivan and Serge worked on kind of removing some of our fields. There's some ongoing discussion about bringing this back, but essentially the goal here is to reduce the outgoing data that we're having coming out from the core backend. Does that sound right, Serge?
Yeah, Ivan did all the heavy lifting on the backend, on the Rust side, and I did some adjustments on the front end. We removed a few columns, so they are not very critical. So yeah, we are not displaying that data, and just to make sure the UI is not broken.
Okay. So there's some discussion we're having. We can sync back about that later, but some fields they may want to bring back, but we can figure that out going forward. But overall, nice job, everyone. And then on to this one. There should have been more issues, but here. ASCII art. Oscar, do you want to show us a demo of the CLI?
Yeah, should I go right now?
Yeah, sure. I'll let. Oh,
Okay.
whoops. Email. But anyways, go for it.
All right. I think it is visible.
Yep.
Okay. So first of all, the ASCII art, here it is. I think it looks cool.
It looks great.
And we are displaying the version. And then we are saying, sorry, first of all, this is for the init comment. So right now we have two comments. One of them is farm, which is an empty one. It does not do anything, just prints out the text. Second one is init, which actually does something. This one is letting you to initialize your configuration file, which will be used for the farming process. So this is the first step. And when you run it, it will be Subspace init instead of cargo run. We are displaying the version and notifying the user for the configuration process has started. And here we actually require the user to enter his or her reward address. And if they enter some incorrect thing, we display the corresponding message. And yeah, let me just paste the correct one. And then we are asking a node name, which can be anything. We are accepting any ASCII characters, let's say test for this one. And we also have some default values. So for example, for macOS, it will be username, library, application support, subspace, plots. And I will go for the default value, which is pressing enter. And then I will specify a sector size. Let's go with like, I don't know, 10 gigabyte. And here again, if the format is wrong, it will notify the user. And lastly, yeah, let me put that value as well. And here, our configuration file is generated. I will display it soon. And we will say that ready for liftoff, run the following command to begin, subspace farm. So, and if we say farm, right now, as I said, this is a static text. It doesn't mean anything at the moment. And for the generated configuration file, it is under application support, under my username, subspace CLI. And here is the settings.toml file. The contents of the file is as the following. So this is my address, sector, blah, 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 blah.
Cool. Awesome.
Any questions?
Looks great, Özkan.
Nice job. Looking forward to using this for the incentivized testnet. Awesome. Thanks for showing that. Cool. Let's move on. Going back to the in progress column. Optimize telemetry backend to reduce data center front end. So this is what we're mentioning. So Ivan's not with us here today, but essentially he's actively trying to reduce the backend. That's the other PR that we saw. So hopefully that can help kind of keep our core Rust backend alive. User inputs. This is open PR. We were just been going back and forth on the review, but overall, this should help kind of clean up our input validation and default values, which Özkan kindly just showcased for us. And then, of course, validate user inputs and define default values. Özkan already gave us the demo for that, so good to know. Let's skip this one. This is part of this one that's already happening. Show unique reward address count. Let's search.
Yeah, so I actually submitted PR, which was approved yesterday, but we also had the dev sync, and you, Jeremiah, mentioned some new requirements. So I didn't merge the PR. I thought we should consolidate everything, and I will update implementation to to take it into account.
Okay.
What was in that PR?
So in that PR, if you could click Arthur on the PR, so it contains the screenshot, and Yeah, so basically we have added a similar component in the header that shows unique addresses, the count of unique addresses. Yes, this one. Yeah, so we added the second row because we already have like a bit too many items here for one row. And second row, second item, unique addresses. So yeah, as I mentioned, we have 18 addresses by default, which are like accounts with vesting. And yeah, I assume we are going to hide them. And currently we are fetching data from the subscan using our free API key, which has like 5 requests per second. And obviously that's not enough for our case. But if we implement like a simple backend that can update this value from time to time, and our UI application can query our backend that will get the cached value, yeah, we can go that way.
Okay. Any questions? You're muted, Jeremiah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks, Serge. We can discuss this more later.
Okay. Excellent. I just lost where I am. Export node list. I'm going to move this to the bottom, but as mentioned last week, Wei had an idea about being able to export this. Again, using this would be helpful for them to do like some intel and marketing on what's going on with our network, such as country and city breakdown. So we can visit this later. Add space pledge component for every chain. This is your open PR, right? You have on upstream, right?
No. That's a new issue I created. So currently we're showing space pledged only for Gemini 2A, which is our main incentivized testnet, but we don't show it for other testnets. And the reason for that, because we're querying RPC, node RPC from UI. And in order to query for other chains, we might need to create like instances and connections for other RPC nodes. So this is also something I wanted to discuss, like what's our like architecture in the long term. I think that should happen, this querying should happen on the back end. But of course, I'm biased because I'm thinking from the front end perspective at the moment. But my rationale is that in order to query it from the front end, we need 5, let's say we have 5 test nets on telemetry. So in order to show space pledged for 5 test nets, we need to create 5 instances of Polkadot.js client. And, it can get really messy. And yeah, so this is an issue to address this problem in the long term.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, that would be nice to have. All right, I think this is going to be a larger issue, so I'm going to move this down the list, probably around here, but we should come back to that. Use logarithmic scale for dots. I think we just mentioned this earlier on your earlier PR, but this is what you're talking about earlier, right?
Yes.
Beautiful, large node dots. Excellent. Re-enable stats view. I think this is happening right now, right?
Yeah, we discussed it. So there are no, the stats view is enabled on the front end, but because some data was removed on the back end by Ivan, it's not fully displayed on the front end. So this is actually the issue that Ivan is addressing in his current PR.
Okay, let's think upon that later. I think he's actively deploying that right now. So, okay, sounds good. Awesome. And backlog, we'll go over that later. That's pretty much it. So for my end, there's some updates going on. So as you guys mentioned, Ozcan and Serge are on the call. Trail of Bit Security Audit Week 1 report just came in. So they already issued some of their findings. We are awaiting for Week 2 to get their reports in. And after that, just for everyone's clarity, we have about a roughly 3-month window to start issuing fixes. And then we can sync back up with Trail of Bits to have them review those fixes and approve our audit. Any questions on that? Okay. Any other comments or things that we should discuss?
Do we want to run through some of our partners? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to discuss. So currently, we don't have a test environment for the substrate telemetry, subspace telemetry. So maybe we should create one, since we are having a lot of users now, and we are still deploying some updates. And yeah, so in order to test, it would be nice to have like a testing environment.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. What is the server that Ivan's deploying on? Which one is that one?
I don't know. Maybe we can use that one. I will.
Okay, let's sync up with Ivan on Slack and see if we can just like take that instance that he created and then make that our default testing / staging environment for telemetry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Jeremiah, you're mentioning something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, could we run through what where things are at with our partner applications?
Oh yeah, sure thing. So recently, I mentioned in the other in the DevSync, but one of the coolest updates we have right now is that Subwallet now has released their single chain mode in Subwallet. I already set mine up, but essentially now when you load the application, you can take a look at the Loom on how to get to this specific setup. But essentially, when you load it up, it's a dedicated single chain view mode for a wallet. So super excited for that. For Subscan, I can only show you the staging environment, but if you guys haven't seen the staging environment already for the block export that they're working on, they did communicate back yesterday. So they should be releasing another staging test for us tomorrow, and then we should be ready to go to production shortly. But you can expect it to look something like this. We have issued some additional UI changes that Jeremiah and I, and of course the team has solicited. That's going to take a little bit longer for them to deploy, but given that we are already moving to incentivize test phase, it'd probably be better to get some kind of working block export out sooner rather than later. And I think, yes, those are already top of mind in terms of our partner updates.
Great, and I can give a short update for Ivan. He did get an initial version of the Rust SDK put together. He shared it with me for some feedback. I gave him some feedback, and I think he's just sick and busy with other things. So, but yeah, we're making progress there as well.
Awesome. Is there a repository, or is it just currently a doc at the moment? We can sync it with Ivan too after this as well.
There's a repository for that. Yeah, we should be tracking it on this board too.
Okay, I'll take a look at that after this call. Okay. And of course, Natasha, welcome to the team. This is your first app sync, so we mentioned in DevSync already, but again, welcome. Is there any other updates, comments before we close off?
Just a quick update. Ivan just merged his PR.
Okay, great. Okay, let's take a look on the telemetry in a little bit and see how that goes.
Yeah, I think he will deploy next, so it won't be right away.
Okay, cool. And then let's ping him. We can ping him after this call about taking his test instance and making that staging. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining today on our app sync, and see you all again next week.